Hey everyone, Dark Magician at Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday. And I have to say, guys, you have been killing it with these what if ideas, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Robot Wars. Yeah, this is really awesome. This is such a fun series. I know this is now the 5th Robot Wars one in a row. It's just because at the time of recording, I can't think of any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Ones, and I haven't been given any other ideas from Dragon Master and Dark Magic Couple at this time. There'll probably be more by the time you're seeing this, but for now, we're going to go with one of 4 ideas left by Joseph Barfield, and that is, what if Panic Attack won the judge's decision over Stinger in Series 4? Well, I'm not quite sure how this could happen, but yeah, I know it wasn't a popular opinion with Panic Attack fans, but a popular decision rather, but yeah, assuming Panic Attack does win, it means that Panic Attack makes it to a second grand final, and just so it matches the timeline as much as possible, it would go up against Chaos 2. Yeah, obviously the Hypnodisc versus Pussycat fight plays out the same way, but I don't see Panic Attack beating Chaos 2. Might be a bit of a struggle. I mean, Chaos 2 can easily attack Panic Attack from the front or behind. I know I went over this scenario a couple of times in previous episodes, but that was in the Series 5 setting. In the Series 4 setting, I think it would be a similar story. Chaos 2 would throw Panic Attack all over the place. I mean, Panic Attack could last to a judge's decision, but yeah, I think Chaos 2 would come out on top here, and naturally, because Hypnodisc took too much damage from Pussycat and Shunt, it means that Panic Attack would finish third. And I believe, regarding the seeds for the 5th Wars, I feel like Stinger and Panic Attack would swap places, and I guess more because of the weird seeding order they did. So Panic Attack would be 5th and Stinger would be 6th, which would mean that Panic Attack and Barbarous would be in Heat C, and Stinger and Hippopotamus would be in Heat J. So, going into the 5th Wars, obviously the other heats don't change, but Panic Attack would be Barbarous, then I believe it would beat General Carnage too, or at least it should do, but would then lose to S3 in the Heat Final, which of course I went over before. Moving forward to Heat J, Stinger would beat Hippopotamus, of course, then it would go up against Tiberius too, and but because there's nothing really for Tiberius to grab onto, it would struggle a lot against Stinger, and Stinger would win that, then face Cat 3 in the Heat Final, and yeah, Cat 3 can't really do much to Stinger, so Stinger goes through to the semi-finals yet again. Semi-final 1, literally nothing changes. Semi-final 2, Stinger would then go up against Pussycat, and it would be a rematch from the All-Stars tournament, but I don't see things going any differently. I don't think Stinger would be able to do much to Pussycat, so Pussycat would just damage the tyres and just win a judge's decision through damage alone, just like last time. So then Stinger would go into the loser's melee with Wheelie Big Cheese and Firestorm 3. I mean, Stinger would put up a decent fight, but naturally Weedy Big Cheese would end up breaking down still. So Firestorm 3 and Stinger slug it out. And Stinger can't really do much except whack Firestorm a few times, but no damage is dealt, and Firestorm would be able to push it around, flip it over, just fling it, and it would go to the judges, and Firestorm would win on control and aggression, mainly control. And then the rest of the Fifth Wars basically plays out the same way. As for the seeds, well, I imagine that it would be another case of Panic Attack and Stinger just simply swapping places again. So Stinger would be 8th, and Panic Attack would be 11th. Of course, alternatively, I suppose Wild Thing would be seated above Stinger just because it's been to the semi-finals more times. Probably. Would it just be easier to say that? I guess it would be. It kind of makes more sense in a way. So Wild Thing would be 8th and Stinger would be 9th. Spawn again would remain 10th, and Panic Attack would be 11th. So we'd have the exact same seeds, only the heats would be in a slightly different order. So going into Series 6, the first 4 heats, literally nothing changes, plays out the same way. Then we go to Stinger's heat, and that basically plays out the exact same way as well, with 13 black winning the whole thing, which would be more of a major shock. Then we come to Panic Attack's heat, in which Terahertz would win. So then G and H, nothing changes. Then we go to Heat I, which is Wild Thing's heat. Wild Thing simply wins that. And then the remaining 3 play out the same way. So the second semi-final would be an all-seed clash, which we'll get to momentarily. So going into the semi-finals, it would mostly be the same. The only difference would be that Razor would face Terahertz and beat it, and that plays out the same way as their fight in the grand final in the real timeline. So Terahertz goes into the losers melee with 13 black and Danton Kier. And 13 black gets taken out very quickly. Terahertz puts up a decent fight, but then ends up breaking down. Which ties into the fact that it didn't seem to fully recover from the previous fight with Razor, just like in the original timeline. So, as a result, Danton Kier wins, and that's another key difference here. Terahertz doesn't make it to the grand final. And then the remaining fights of semi-final 1 play out the same way. Semi-final 2, it mostly plays out the same way, but again, the only difference is that Wild Thing would fight Spawn again. Now, had Spawn again not been having internal problems and interference problems, this would be an easy win, but as it seems to still be struggling a bit, it means that Wild Thing would come out on top, just ramming Spawn again constantly, maybe doing damage with the disc. So, yeah, as a result, Wild Thing takes this one. Then the loser's melee plays out the same way, with Bigger Brother taking out the Hypnodisc and Spawn again. And then Bigger Brother would go up against Wild Thing in round 2, and this is where Wild Thing's luck comes to an end, with Bigger Brother flipping Wild Thing all over the place, maybe even immobilising it on its side or getting it out of the arena, while in the other fight, Dominator 2 is beaten by Tornado. So, yeah, that's another big difference. Bigger Brother goes into the grand final instead of Terahertz. So the grand final, Razor would fight Tornado like 1 round earlier, and that plays out the exact same way as the final battle of the 5th Wars. Meanwhile, Firestorm would defeat Bigger Brother, so then the top 2 of the last series would face off in the 3rd place playoff, in which Razor would win this. And then we have a faster grand final, yeah, unfortunately Firestorm would get beaten by Tornado in the same way as the real grand final eliminator. So yeah, Tornado wins this one. Now again, we'd still have the exact same seeded robots for the 7th Wars, but they'd be in a different order. But obviously, because of how the semi-finals were done, it doesn't matter, because everything pretty much plays out the same way, so I'm not going to cover that. So that's basically what would have happened, I feel, if Panic Attack had beaten Stinger on a judge's decision in Series 4. Panic Attack would have made a 2nd grand final, but would have failed to reach the semi-finals in the 5th Wars. And yeah, that's the way it would have gone, and that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching.